Hey everybody, what's up? It's Joel, aka The Daily Guru, and it's time for another edition of Something Old, Something New. Today for Something Old, we're going to one of my favorite classic records you absolutely must own. It's 1957, and Art Pepper meets the rhythm section. The reality is, during the 1950s and 1960s, it was pretty damn hard to make your name as a sax player, mostly because of names like Parker and Coltrane and a few others. And yet Art Pepper did just that, carving out his own space within the world of sax playing because he is absolutely one of a kind. Pulling from every school of jazz possible, this album boasts not only one of the greatest lineups in jazz history, but it perfectly captures why Art Pepper is held in such reverence for his sound. One odd note about this is that Art Pepper actually didn't know about this recording session until the morning in question, and there's also a long-held belief that he's actually playing on a broken instrument through most of the album. Yet the reality is, once the music begins, it's clear it's nothing short of phenomenal, as the rhythm section of Paul Chambers, Philly Joe Jones, and Red Garland quickly prove why they are referred to as the rhythm section. But at the same time, the focus rarely moves from Pepper's performance, as it's truly mystical. But at the same time, the focus rarely moves from Pepper's performance, as he creates moods on every single song that have rarely been equaled. It's the fact that he plays in a softer, more subtle manner, but is still able to create just as much mood and energy as anyone else that makes his music so distinctive. And it's impossible to see him as anything less than a true musical genius and innovator of style. While this album may not top best of lists on a regular basis, it's likely due to the fact that the people who make those lists know very little beyond the big names in jazz music. And there's no question that Art Pepper meets the rhythm section is beyond required listening and must be in your collection. If for some reason it's not, go change that right now. Thank me later. Today for Something New, we're going to check the long-awaited return of Soundgarden and their brand new record, King Animal. Now, I will freely admit that amongst all those so-called grunge bands of the early 90s, there's no question that Soundgarden were by far my favorite. But the reality is, Soundgarden were always a metal band who happened to be from Seattle when that was the cool place to be from. After 15 years apart, the band has released this new record. And while it's not what you might call getting back to their old sound, there's no question that these guys still have plenty of rock left inside of them. King Animal is a far more straightforward rock record than any of their previous work. But you can argue that this was a deliberate move to purposely not rehash the ground that they've previously tread, as the album never sounds like they're bored or trying to force themselves into a certain style or sound. To that end, the power and the energy all across this album flow so naturally that it quickly reminds you why Soundgarden are held in such high regard by all of their peers. Kim Thayil's guitar sounds as good as ever, and his guitar tone is unquestionably one of the most distinctive in all of music history. And the rhythm section brings an urgency that has been sorely missed within mainstream rock music. A lot of critics seem to want to point out the fact that Chris Cornell doesn't hit as many of those really high notes as he used to. But come on folks, it's been 15 years and he sounds fantastic on this album. Do we hear Robert Plant belting out those notes anymore? No. Please get some perspective. Age happens. All in all, it's really hard to find much fault anywhere on the new Soundgarden record, as it's clear that this time apart from one another did them a lot of good. They sound refreshed and ready to take over the world of hard rock once again. And on the buy it or borrow it, King Animal is a solid buy it. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you dug it. If you did, go ahead and click subscribe, leave a comment, click like, whatever you want to do. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr right here, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow.